All right, what's up, guys? So, welcome back to the Conscious Lens, where we are trying to become more conscious, more powerful human beings. We're trying to become wiser. We're trying to build profound lives. We're trying to be able to get a better understanding of reality, ourselves, other people, and all the pieces of life that we can then optimize, right? And build and, create a deep life. So, today I want to discuss, in alignment with, creating this deep life, I want to discuss three traits that you have to have. And I don't like to often say you have to have things or, things are absolutely necessary. But in my experience and in my very deep contemplations of these three traits and kind of thinking back over the years, how these affected me either by having them in the good way or affected me in a bad way by not having them. Right. And based on my experience and based on what I've really thought about, like these are essential. You have to have these traits if you want to become a powerful agent in your life. If you want to build a really good life, like these three traits are make or break between mediocrity or like a really good life and a life you're proud of and a life that's fulfilling and, a life that's very holistic and very built in the way that you want it to, right? In alignment with your vision. So I say these are very make or break, and I stand by that. Like these are huge. So let me mention the traits, and then I'm going to sort of try paint a story for you very briefly to show you like why these are very important. So number one is curiosity. Number two is open-mindedness, and number three is resourcefulness. And what's interesting about these three traits is they very much exist in isolation. But why I've picked these three specifically is because they always sort of find themselves in a three-step process. They very much come together. And why I say that is because having two but not the third one, or having, the first and third one but not the second one, it's like that'll make or break the process that I'm about to describe. So when you're contemplating after this video about where you sort of feel you stand in relation to having these three traits, or where you lack in relation to these three traits and which ones you feel like need more work, try and keep them together. Try and paint a picture as you sort of think about this. So let me explain now why these can be so important, right? So imagine you're walking. Okay, and this is just a metaphor, it's just a story. I'll give you better examples afterwards. But imagine you're walking and you see a door, right? There's just a door, and you look at this door. Now you have two options. Either you're curious about the door and what's behind the door, or you're pretty disinterested. You don't have much of a desire to think about, what lies behind. Is there something to seek behind this door? Whatever it is, are you curious about the door? Yes or no, right? And if you aren't, do you see how this ends already? You continue walking, and never again do you see this door, never again do you see what was behind the door, and anything that comes after the fact is done. Okay? So if you're not curious, you finished. However, let's say you are curious and you decide to ask some questions like, what's behind the door? What happens if I open the door? Why is the door here? You sort of engage with this curiosity, right? And you walk up to the door, and let's say your curiosity succeeds and you open the door, okay? And you look inside the door, and for the purposes of this story, I'm not going to pick a specific thing that's behind the door, but let's say there's something behind the door. You walk into this room, and there's something in there that's very different to what you've ever known, right? And like I said, it doesn't matter what it is, but it's just something that's unusual to your frame of thinking. Maybe it's something you've never seen before. Maybe it's something you didn't think was possible to see. Maybe it's something that works differently to the way you think. Maybe it's something that's you don't really like. Maybe it's something that challenges you, something that really like scares you a little bit, or challenges you, or it makes you realize something you have been avoiding, whatever it is, okay? You see this thing, now open-mindedness becomes the problem. Are you open-minded to engaging with the thing that curiosity has led you to, right? And if you are, you continue. If you're not, again, like before with the curiosity, the process is now done, right? If you're not open minded and you're very closed to what you see, what are you going to do? You're going to take one look at it, your mind's going to close, and you're going to leave the room. Okay. So, same like with curiosity, if you don't have this traits of open mindedness in this story, it ends right there. You're done. You leave the room, you go, and you're basically where you would have been again if you didn't have curiosity. So notice how without open-mindedness, you still end up in the same place, which is out of the room, walking away, if you just didn't have curiosity. So not having even the second trait takes you to the first place of just not having the first trait. Okay, so on the flip side, let's say you are open-minded. You see this thing, whatever it is, and you engage with it, right? You understand it, you play with what it is, you try and open it up and see, and you really like get involved and you engage. You seek to understand it, you're trying to like sort of put it together and make sense of it, right? And you do this for however long. And let's say you now understand something, you learn something from this process of engaging with this new thing, and it shows you the potential of something. Now, you realize, oh, I'm going to have to learn more things. I'm going to have to really find a bunch of things. I'm going to have to build, create, research, seek, like, because this thing showed me something and now I have to go out and do something, but that's going to demand a process. It's going to demand effort and it's going to demand like problem solving. And that's where resourcefulness comes in, right? So now you have to be resourceful enough to create that which this thing has shown you that you were open-minded to, that you chose to engage with after you were curious enough to find it and to seek for it, you know, which was seeing the door. So notice how if you're now not resourceful enough and you choose to sort of give up at that point, again, like previously with the open-mindedness and like with the curiosity, you're going to leave the room. You're going to say, I don't really feel like this, or I don't know how to go from here or where to go from here. So I'm going to leave the room, close the door, and walk away. And this, I hope you see now, is why I'm saying these three work together in most cases, right? Because no matter if you don't have one or the other, you end up in the same place. You need to be curious enough to find the new things. You have to be open-minded enough to engage with them. And I'm not saying everything that you now find or every idea that you are open-minded to is going to lead somewhere. Sometimes you can be open-minded about something and it's a dead end, or it's something you're genuinely not interested in. So this is not a one-size-fits-all, right? I'm not saying like this applies to everything, but you need to be open-minded enough to engage with these things, right? And then once you're open-minded and you engage and you understand and you go through a process, you now need to be resourceful enough to learn, research, seek more, build, create, put together, remove, whatever the process is after the fact. Resourcefulness is necessary. Okay, so I hope you're seeing how these three traits are essential, right? And they work together. Now, I'll give you a small example, right? It's going to be a quick one. Let's say you want to, let's say you're interested in career, right, or purpose, and you want to figure out a new purpose, or you even just want to think about your career, right? So you're curious. Number one, you're curious. You pick up a book. You're very curious. So you read the book. You're interested in seeking new ideas about career and how to develop a career and all these things, and you come across an idea, whatever it is, and suddenly this idea challenges everything you've ever known. Maybe it speaks about the way in which you're supposed to do a career to build a powerful career, and that goes against the way you're currently doing it. Let's say it's against the way you do it. Are you going to be open-minded to even just engage with that idea? And like I said, it doesn't now mean that you're wrong and that new idea is right. It's just your ability to open your mind to the potential of maybe this is showing me something that's better, or something I'm not seeing, or something I didn't think was possible, right? So you've just got to be open-minded enough to like entertain these ideas for the potential of what they might show you, even if you discard them later. And let's say you read this idea, it challenges you, but you choose to engage with it and you choose to be open-minded, and it ends up showing you and making you understand that you actually need to do a whole new career. Let's say that's what this new idea shows you. And you were open-minded and suddenly you engage with this idea and it makes you realize like, oh boy, I'm in the wrong career. And this is the thing I actually want to do, right? Something amazing happens. You realize something authentic to your life, whatever it is. And the third thing now is like, it doesn't stop there. You can realize, oh, I'm going to actually be a pilot and that's the thing I want to do. But now, are you resourceful enough to, make the money to put yourself through like pilot school, right? Are you going to read the books? Are you resourceful enough to figure out what you need to change in your life? Habits you need to stop doing, habits you need to start doing. Like this process of resourcefulness is what demands the most from you, right? Courses, books, research, like I said, giving up habits, developing new habits, maybe even in some cases, depending on the example, you have to break off relationships, you have to change like big pieces of your life. And that's going to demand your ability to find the resources necessary and do what's necessary to make this thing happen. Cool. So that's pretty much it. I hope all you take away from this is like, if you don't have these three traits in a developed fashion, you need to develop them if you want to create a powerful life. Like this applies to any example you can think of, right? This applies to eating healthy, starting a business. This applies to developing spirituality, trying to self-actualize more, trying to learn about conflict, trying to build better relationships. This applies to anything you can think of. If you want to travel better and you're trying to develop more of your traveling, like this is applicable. It doesn't matter what it is. Curiosity, open-mindedness, and resourcefulness are essential to have to create a better life, a good life, right? So think about your own life, think about where these are lacking. And one important thing is also to think of instances in your life where not having these actually hurt you or removed opportunities or limited you in some way. Maybe you weren't curious, maybe you were very closed-minded in a situation and you realized that actually stopped you from learning the thing you needed to learn, or it stopped you from engaging with someone and who could have been a great relationship, or it stopped you from taking an opportunity because your mind was closed. You weren't willing to take on challenging new ideas, right, or engage with them. So think about these traits and where not having them has actually limited you, right? And really unpack these, try think of ways to develop these, try look for ways you can apply them, where you can be more curious, where you can open your mind more, where you can, start to become more resourceful, more able to research and learn and figure out problems and like bring all the pieces together. Because guys, if you can develop these three traits, if you can really focus on these and really implement them, like your life will never be the same. Like your ability to be a powerful agent in your life and craft your life will completely revolutionize. I've experienced this. It's drastic. It's why I'm standing here today or sitting here today speaking about this, because these three traits are make or break. So let me know in the comments which one you're going to work on first. And yeah, guys, have fun with it.